Urgent, Commanders fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Commanders news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Commanders reflect on blockbuster trades amid buzz. On Next Move, the Washington Commanders are one of the few playoff contenders from last season that did not lose key players on either side of the ball this offseason. Instead, they added key players in the hopes they would be able to continue to compete as a top title contender in 2025. Players like wide receiver Deebo Samuel and left tackle Laramie Tunsil were acquired in the hopes of building the offense. Even further from what they once were, it was something that general manager Adam Peters has always shown an ability to do. The Commanders added Marshawn Lattimore in a trade at the deadline last offseason. Now they added key players to their offense. "You take each opportunity as they come," Peters said at the NFL owners' meetings in Palm Beach, Florida. Understanding that we were able to get really good players at important positions, there's give and take to that. The trades for both Tunsil and Samuel do not come without concerns. Both players have long injury histories that made it so Washington only had to give up later-round picks for the receiver and tackle. In the case of Tunsil specifically, the Commanders believe the trade is worth it for a Pro Bowl player when healthy. "Early returns show he's been great," Peters said. "He's connected with a lot of our guys, and I think he's going to be a great addition." Those opportunities acquiring a left tackle are rare, so we thought it was right to pounce on it. And now comes the NFL draft and a paucity of DC picks, which suggests to us there should be next move buzz as Thursday night approaches. It's unclear whether these moves will work out at this point. What is clear, though, is that Washington is doing what they can to add stars to their offense. Pausing. This news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Commanders news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Trade rumors surround former Commanders starting QB, the life of a backup quarterback in the NFL. His hardly glamorous and mostly tenuous something former Washington Commanders starting quarterback Sam Howell is finding out quickly. Howell is part of trade rumors for the second consecutive season, with ESPN reporting the Seattle Seahawks could look to trade Howell after signing another former NFL starting quarterback in Drew Lock to likely come in as the backup to recently signed starter Sam Darnold. From ESPN, the Seahawks are open to trading Sam Howell and have received inquiries from teams interested in acquiring their backup quarterback. Sources have told ESPN that interest comes on the heels of the Seahawks adding Drew Lock last week, resigning Geno Smith's former backup to potentially fill the same role behind new starter Sam Darnold. Jaren Hall is their fourth quarterback, giving Seattle a potential surplus at the position. In March 2024, Howell was traded from the Commanders to the Seahawks, along with a 2024 fourth-round pick and 2024 sixth-round pick, in exchange for a 2024 third-round pick and 2024 fifth-round pick. Howell spent last season as the backup to Smith, seeing action in 2 games. Seattle traded Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders on March 7th in exchange for a 2025 third-round pick. Darnold signed a 3-year, $105 million contract with the Seahawks on March 13th after earning Pro Bowl honors with the Minnesota Vikings in 2024. Howell started all 17 games for Commanders in 2023. Howell started all 17 games for Washington in 2023, going 413 while leading the NFL in sacks 65 and interceptions 21 during one of the worst seasons in franchise history. Howell also threw for 3,746 yards and 21 touchdowns to go with 263 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Taken in the 5th round, 144 overall of the 2022 NFL Draft, Howell took most of the responsibility for the Commanders' struggles when he spoke with Pro Football Talk's Sharian Williams. "I think I could play some smarter ball. I think there were times where we were down big in some games. I was a little too aggressive, just trying to make something happen, trying to get us back in the game," Howell said. "The turnovers are just way too high for what I wanted and what the team needed. I think that's definitely something I can take from last year." Howell already part of trade rumors following season, Bleacher reports. Christopher Knox put Howell on his list of the top trade targets for QB-needy teams on March 24. Howell is entering the final year of his rookie contract and could be available if the Seahawks aren't planning to keep him beyond this season, Knox wrote. "He won't get a chance to compete for the starting job in Seattle, but he might be a viable option elsewhere." Turning just 25 in September, Howell is another young quarterback who could be viewed as an alternative to the 2025 QB class. It's hard to believe Howell was projected as a #1 overall pick headed into his junior season at North Carolina in 2021 after being named All-ACC each of his first 2 seasons. Howell's limitations became clear to draft experts. The Sporting News' David Suggs wrote in 2022, Howell doesn't have elite athleticism, and he struggled with decision-making in his final season in Chapel Hill. Brutal prediction suggests Commanders could finish last in NFC East. Few teams in league history enjoyed the kind of turnaround the Washington Commanders went through last season. From being one of the worst teams in 2023 to bringing in an entirely new regime with a rookie quarterback that set records across the board, the Commanders are walking into 2025 with added confidence from last season. Added confidence means nothing. When it comes to the NFC East, though, the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, and Commanders all know the record their division is currently going through. For over 20 years, the division has yet to see a repeat winner. Along the way, many of the teams in the division saw themselves go from one of the best to dead last in their division. And that's a lesson the Commanders need to learn quickly going into the new season. Coming off a 125 year that saw the organization re-energize their fan base, Washington added key pieces like wide receiver Deebo Samuel and left tackle Laramie Tunsil to be the finishing touches of a Super Bowl roster. That's good stuff. But here's a brutal reality. The turnaround is over. Why? With Dak Prescott returning healthy, the Giants bringing in a veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson who beat Washington last season, and the defending champion Eagles returning. The majority of their roster, it really isn't that hard to see how the Commanders could conceivably finish in last place in the division once again. This doesn't mean it's going to happen. The NFC East is arguably the most unpredictable division in the sport, but teams with meteoric rises one year usually take a step back the following season. Washington needs to be careful that they don't become part of that statistic. Commanders push to draft offensive line. The Washington Commanders were able to take a major jump from the beginning of the last season to become one of the best rosters in the game. Led by quarterback Jaden Daniels, the Commanders won 12 games and earned a spot in the NFC title game for the first time in 3 decades. An underrated part of that success was the team's ability to work with a makeshift offensive line. That won't fly with a harder schedule, though. While Washington did add Laramie Tunsil during the offseason to provide a boost to the offensive line, the Commanders know they push off later conversations among the group moving forward, and one main Commanders site believes that should force Washington into drafting more offensive linemen in the foreseeable future. One of the many failures of the Commanders' previous regime was not building a quality offensive line through the draft. Sam Cosmi was the only draft pick or undrafted free agent for that matter who developed into a reliable starter, Rigos Rag published. This is especially egregious because the offensive line requires the most players and requires the most cohesion of any position group. Peters began addressing this last year with the selection of Brandon Coleman. Though his eventual position is still undetermined, it appears that he will be a starter for years to come. Adam Peters will need to figure out a way to develop the offensive line well past Tunsil's 31-year-old swagger. By focusing on the draft, it could allow the team to develop a pipeline of sorts for the line protecting Daniels. And that has to be the priority for Washington moving forward. Commanders given surprising ranking among Super Bowl contenders. When a team has a young quarterback on the roster, they are Allen on the organization, and it tends to be in a much better situation than others around the league. That doesn't make them title contenders, though. The Washington Commanders saw that reality hit hard this week. Pro Football Focus graded the top 10 contending teams for the organization's future. Washington, despite their run to the NFC title game for the first time in 3 decades, was ranked just 9th. A big reason, the age of the roster. And that isn't good enough for some analysts around the league at this point. As we near the end of this list, it's questionable whether these teams even have a Super Bowl window. But if the Commanders have a window, it's large, mainly because of who they have at the most important position, Commanders Wire said. There are gaping holes and aging players on the defensive side of the ball in Washington, but the team's young quarterback can compensate for that. Jaden Daniels earned a 96 PFF overall grade as a rookie, which ranked 5th among quarterbacks. He immediately elevated the team's offense. The addition of Laramie Tunsil, one of the best pass-blocking left tackles in the league, should further help the unit. However, Washington's defense will need to step up to truly call this a Super Bowl window for the Commanders. Washington needs an infusion of young talent on the offensive line as well as on defense. If they can do that, they will most assuredly rise up the ranks as true title contenders moving forward. Commanders' Jayden Daniels vows to fix one rookie season. Problem: every young quarterback goes through a bit of a rough patch during their first season. Even for a special signal caller like Jayden Daniels of the Washington Commanders, that slump came during the midway point of the 2024 season. Riding high after a 72 start, Daniels and the Commanders took some tough injury hits across the board. They ended up losing 3 in a row to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Philadelphia Eagles, and Dallas Cowboys shortly after. While Washington was able to win their final 5 games, the losing streak was a good reminder to Daniels about how quickly things can change in the NFL over the course of a single season. And it's something he addressed within himself as well. Early on, I knew I had some success, but I think where I felt myself giving better was that rough stretch where we lost 3 in a row, Daniels said to John Gruden in a recent appearance on the John Gruden Barstool YouTube channel. Adversity is going to tell you a lot of who you are as a man. So when we lost 3 in a row, we almost didn't win for a month. It sucks. So it's like after that, we got back to our winning ways, and I could just feel myself getting better each and every week. And you peak at the right time. We peaked at the right time, right before the playoffs. We were coming together as a team, and like I said, hardships are going to make you, or it is going to break you. Washington sure peaked at the right time. Their winning streak had them reaching the NFC title game for the first time in over 3 decades. That slump was a good chance for Daniels and the offense to reset. It's a learning experience the team is still taking to heart as they look to build off of last year's 12-win season, with Daniels leading the way. Commanders React Survey drafting. A kicker poll question. We're back with one final React survey before the NFL draft kicks off on Thursday night. Today, we have just one simple question. Should the Commanders use a late-round pick to draft a rookie kicker? With only 5 draft picks in hand, it might seem like a waste of time to use one on a kicker, but when you think about it, kickers and punters are much more valuable than one more third-string linebacker, which is who we often see drafted at picks 205 or 245. Don't believe me? Think about how valuable Tress Way has been to Commanders' field position for the past decade, not to mention his skills as a regular holder on field goals and occasional passer on fake punts, and how comforting it's been to see him sprinting onto the field in a burgundy gold uniform since 2014. Tress Way, in his 12th season here, is the longest tenured Commander on the team's roster. It's possible that a well-drafted kicker could have a similar career, which, again, would contrast favorably with the careers typical of most 6th or 7th round picks. Consider that. About a month ago, in an informal poll published at the end of an article here on Hogs Haven about Nick Folk, an older veteran kicker who has been the NFL's most accurate field goal kicker over the past 2 seasons, 94 of readers said that they would be in favor of signing Folk to a contract for 2025, indicating that survey respondents recognize the importance of having the right kicker on the roster. After all, on NFL teams, the place kicker is usually the highest scoring player on the roster, and the ability to deliver under pressure and from long range comprise valuable attributes that help win games. One late-game field goal made or missed could be the difference between making or missing the playoffs or advancing to the next round. Or going home once you get there, getting the right guy can pay off handsomely. Just ask the New England Patriots and Indianapolis Colts fans how they feel about 4-time Super Bowl champion Adam Vinatieri. Of course, some people feel as though teams should never use draft capital to acquire ST specialists, punter, kicker, long snapper. The idea is that these are low-paid commodity positions, and that kickers in particular lack the consistency to make it worthwhile to draft one. For these people, the right move is always to sign an undrafted free agent or sign a guy when he is cut from another team's roster, which is exactly how Washington got Tress Way, claiming him off of waivers when he was cut by the Bears at the end of the 2014 preseason. However you feel about this question, now is the time to let everyone know. Should Adam Peters draft a kicker this week, Or should he either ride with Zane Gonzalez or bring in competition that doesn't require expending? Draft Capital? And now, Commanders fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Commanders. He'll be back any moment with more Commanders news. We want Dallas.